So we've finally broken down the ridge pattern that seems to have been blocking our storms since fall. And now we've got some storm system lined up across the Pacific, and those will be coming in here over the next week or so. And I heard some people talking about a potential windstorm that they've heard about coming across the area. And the system we're concerned about is this one that's developing out here near the date line. That'll be coming across the Pacific and moving into our area. So I'm going to take a look at some of the models here so we can see what to expect. And this is the NAM model, and it's not typically the model that we have the most confidence in, but it does show low pressure developing across the Northeast Pacific and then moving across roughly Vancouver Island by Saturday morning. And with pressures around 980, that's not a significant windstorm, but it would be a pretty windy pattern for the area. We'll shift over to the GFS, which shows a stronger low pressure system developing in the Pacific. So it shows 976 deepening to about 975 and then moving inland. Unfortunately, I don't have the intervening panel here between Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon, but 975 low is pretty good. Wouldn't be a huge windstorm, but it would definitely be a windy pattern. For comparison, the Columbus Day storm had low pressures around 960, so not a Columbus Day storm, but definitely a windy pattern. And just for reference, here's the European model. This is really coarse, not great to look at, but they like you to pay for their data, so this is what I could find that was free on the internet, and it shows a 974 low moving in north of Vancouver Island. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this little bit of low pressure it's got down here, but we'll see how that develops over time. And another comparison to the Canadian model, which also it's difficult to see, but it shows a 976 low, also in a similar position to what the European showed. Now, zooming in a little closer to home, these are the MM5 runs from the University of Washington, and this particular one is based on the GFS. So we'll see how this transpires. Back in time here to, this is Friday morning, so you can see we've got a pretty pronounced warm front moving across the area, and so the winds typically develop between the warm front and either the cold front or the occlusion, which is back up in this area. So that warm front moves across our area Friday night, then we get the cold front starting to move across Saturday morning, followed by colder air Saturday afternoon. So that's the NAM. It would suggest pretty windy conditions starting as early as Friday evening for much of the area from Northern California all the way up through Western Washington. The right panel here. And so the windiest period there would be Friday night. Still pretty breezy though into Saturday. Here's the NAM version of that. So again, while we don't always have the greatest confidence in the NAM model, it does show a similar pattern of a pretty pronounced warm front moving across the area Friday afternoon with low pressure moving in sometime Friday night into Saturday morning into BC. This one doesn't go quite as far, but another thing I wanted to mention is the potential for a coastal jet developing along the coast here. That's where the winds are forced in between the terrain. Go back to the GFS, it shows it a little better. So right at this point here, we can see the cold front or the occlusion potentially offshore moving into the coast, and the winds get channeled in between this area, so you get really strong accelerations through the waters and along the coast. And again, that would be Friday night into Saturday morning as that occurs. This can be a particularly pronounced effect right down here along the Capes in southwest Oregon, so it looks like pretty windy conditions there Friday night into Saturday as well. And I just wanted to show real quickly the precipitation map, and this is a 72-hour total accumulation. And you can see in the bottom here, these are in hundredths of an inch, so it's basically a third of an inch, 6/10, inch and a quarter, 2.5. So this is just one model's representation of total precipitation over 72 hours ending Saturday afternoon. And while that's just one model's idea, you can see that we're probably in for a significant amount of precipitation by Saturday afternoon. And for the snow lover friends that I have, here's the 850 millibar temperature pattern, and essentially this means where the snow level would be roughly 5,000 feet is along the zero line. So back it up a little bit. See, it's fairly cool. Zero line is running right in through western Washington, so snow levels would be around 5,000 feet. Well, actually, let's back up. So below 5,000 feet, probably past level all the way until this point, which is the sometime on the 9th, which is, check my calendar here, the 9th is Thursday. And we'll progress through here. So you can see basically the point that I wanted to show is that by Friday night into Saturday, the snow levels are rising well above 5,000 feet. So a lot of the snow totals are going to be knocked down, at least at the ski areas and pass level, by the intrusion of warm air and rain. So that's what I know at this point. I know this is just a generic, broad look at things. If you want a specific forecast, I would direct you to your National Weather Service, which is weather.gov.